Oh my gosh, what did Tom Elliott do? Tom Elliott joins us now from his devil box, the computer, which he uses to share banned material, and Twitter put him in a timeout. He joins us now via Skype. Tom, good to see you. First time I think that you've been with us. So
Yes,
we're glad to see
absolutely.
that you're back.
Well, I am under house arrest, but I am here.
So
Thanks.
what happened? Like because they said everybody was saying, oh, you were suspended because you had shared a video of somebody talking about something related to COVID, and I guess the Twitter powers that be suspended
Really?
you. What happened?
No, I mean, I'm amused that the rumor mill has been moving in that direction. But in fact, actually, Andy Slavitt, I was walking Friday or Monday night, I guess, and saw that he was commenting on Colin Powell's death and said that the lesson here is that everybody needs to get vaccinated. And I immediately thought, like, I'm sure a lot of people that read that tweet is like, is that really the lesson here? Is that the takeaway? So responded in, the typical sarcastic way that I sometimes do, saying, yeah, get vaccinated and you too can die of COVID. Obviously, a joke meant to be funny, and went about my way. A couple minutes later, signed back on and was locked out of the account and was told that I needed to delete this tweet for violating the community guidelines. So that's what I did, because I have to confess here at the outset that this is actually not the first time I've dabbled in wrongthink. And last year I was similarly got in trouble for saying something against His Highness Governor Cuomo. And at that point, he and de Blasio were having this catfight, and it seemed to result in Cuomo withholding vaccines for senior citizens in New York City.
Right.
And so I said something like I was reprising the famous the New York Daily,
New York Daily News, yeah.
Daily News said, like, instead of Ford to City drop dead, it was Cuomo to New York City seniors drop dead. Like a joke I'm sure other people thought of as well.
Joking's not
But
allowed.
that earned me another visit to the penalty box. So that time, though, I was told to delete the tweet and then I'd be allowed back on. And I did delete the tweet and then immediately went on a rampage, basically explaining that Twitter was basically defending this politician at the expense of these senior citizens that supposedly, will benefit from the vaccine. So it seems to make sense. But ultimately, I know you can't have people just out here making fun of politicians. So
Yeah, you can't. I mean, and we're talking with Tom Elliott, who's the editor of Grabian Media, and of course, we were talking about how we play a lot of stuff from Grabian. And you have you used to work with Radio America, so you have so I know Steve knows you. Apparently, you guys were in the same facility. Engaging in wrongthink, no sarcasm, no joking, nothing of that nature, not allowed at all whatsoever. And I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, was he telling people to drink hemlock? Like what? And when you're suspended, the rumor mill goes crazy. And I just think if you're suspended, it's got to be something good, right? You had to do something like really amazing. And I'm not that your joke wasn't amazing, but it's kind. I was like, that's it. You got put in the timeout for that.
Ironically, I was charged with their abuse and harassment rule. So
for that?
It wasn't the COVID misinformation one. So I presumed it would be that, but it was abuse and harassment, even though it wasn't really clear who I was abusing and harassing, because I was merely pointing out the stupidity of the argument.
Right.
And I actually have an exclusive development on this story, exclusive to the Dana Lash Show right now. So earlier, a couple hours ago, Andy Slavitt, the person that supposedly I was abusing and harassing, sent me a direct message over Twitter. I'm still allowed to DM on Twitter, incidentally, but I've noticed they don't let you send screenshots, because I tried to send a screenshot of the tweet that got me in trouble to people, and it was like, knew that I was doing that somehow and was not letting me do that. But in any case, he sent me a DM saying that, we don't know each other, but I want to say I don't agree with your suspension. Sarcasm is the spice of Twitter. See you back on here soon. So the supposed victim of my abuse and harassment is apparently not actually considering himself a victim here.
Right.
So it remains to be seen who the actual victim of my abuse and harassment is. But in any case, I've appealed my sentence, and unfortunately, there's been no ruling from the powers that be.
I love how
Twitter.
serious, somewhat, that you're talking about all of these steps. Well, I had to appeal my sentence with the.
I'm sure it's a very formal process that my appeal is going through right now.
I'll
There's
be meeting the Twitter tribunal
bodies
soon.
and everything.
Yeah, it's a social media platform. I mean, like when it started, people shared sandwich pictures. Really, I mean, they're so it is such an overrated platform. And I noticed too, like I was searching because I was curious to see what latest. I think they have you shadow banned right now too, because a lot of your latest stuff doesn't even come up when you even search for your handle in latest. A lot of like it shows that you're not really active, which they hate you. I think that the Twitter moderators don't really like a lot of folks. So let me ask you this, and we're talking with Tom Elliott, editor of Grabian Media. Last question for you, because I'm glad that you're reinstated, but
I'm not reinstated.
Oh wait, no, you're not reinstated. I'm not glad that you are not reinstated.
Like 5 more days on my sentence.
So there's nothing that you can do. So even the guy that was supposedly the victim, he can't even be like, Twitter moderators, it was a joke, stop it. I mean, they're going to, it's so serious that you have to be in a timeout for several more days for the wrong to be righted.
I'm supposed to sit in a corner too and think about
Twitter's
what I've
a
done,
garbage
and ultimately
fire.
I'm going to need to issue an apology, a heartfelt apology to Mr. Slavitt, but it seems he's not even seeking one in the first place, so it's not really clear. I think they just don't want me there.
And there's no consistent application of any of this, because I've seen people who have been bumped permanently for like one little bitty thing, and then a porn bot can get reported 1,000 times and it's still there. So I don't know if I don't think they have any kind of consistent application of their terms of service.
No, I mean, you see accounts like Jezebel actively trying to solicit people to bully Governor or Senator Sinema.
Yeah.
And it's like that's explicitly against Twitter's rules, but no issue there.
Yeah,
it's like,
no issue.
A joke that's a little off color and the wrong guy is the butt of the joke, then that's an immediate suspension.
One of my favorite questions that I get whenever these issues come up, people always say, well, why don't you just leave Twitter and go somewhere else? And I know there are other platforms out there. I think Parler's kind of clunky. But what do you tell people when they say, well, just go somewhere else, just take your ball and go home?
Well, in fact, I am actually in the process of building an alternate platform called The Pub. It's out there. It's just still in the works. But today I was solicited to join Getter. And so I joined it and started posting normal stuff as I normally would. And it's fine. It's like it's a little bit glitchy, but ultimately it works. But the thing I noticed was that like everybody there is thinking the same thing. And the thing it's like the one redeeming quality of Twitter is that there's people from all different viewpoints and public figures, and it's a public forum. So you put an opinion out there, you risk ridicule and mockery, but that's the whole point of debate. And so that's what's lacking with sites like Getter. It just becomes a little bit too monolithic. And unfortunately, that's basically what Twitter is trying to do, because they keep pushing out the most controversial personalities, and they're just trying to create this like conformist groupthink, which is completely boring and also just reflects their own insecurity about their own opinions.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, even the most lighthearted trolling, when I'm too lazy to debate, is kind of fun to do, and you can't do that when everything's kind of like-minded and it's like you're screaming into the hive. It doesn't work. But I love fellowshipping with people who are like-minded, but when that's all there is, you're right. I mean, it's like, what ideas are actually being changed? Iron sharpens iron. So what actually is happening here? Tom Elliott with Grabian Media. So let us know about your platform. When do you plan to have that out? We need
it's out now. It's just like the things that are going to make it much better than Twitter are still under development. So it's basically like a standard message, like a social media platform right now, but there are things that are going to make it a little bit more exciting. So that will be hopefully coming in the next couple months.
Excellent.
But thepub.news is the website if anyone wants to check it out in the meantime.
Excellent. I will do that. Tom Elliott, you can follow him at Tom S. Elliott, 2 T's, on social media, on Twitter, which, is a garbage fire, but, dumpster fire. You can find him on that. He's still in trouble. He's still in a timeout. Tom, appreciate what you do, and really appreciate Grabian as well. Thank you so much. Good to see you.
Thank you, Dana.
Of course.
Appreciate it.